Prime Minister Rishi Sunak might have breathed a sigh of relief after getting his Rwanda bill through a reading in the Commons this week, but frankly, the pressure hasn't stayed off for long.
Well, new figures show his popularity has plummeted. The poll conducted by YouGov reveals 7 in 10 Brits have an unfavourable opinion of Sunak, and he has a net favourability rating of -49. It's an all-time low for him.
And just to let you know how bad it is, less popular than Boris Johnson on his last day in power. Just saying. Join us in the studio this morning, our political correspondent with a slight snuffle. She's only been here 2 days. Alicia, how are you? Good morning.
I'm dying already.
Oh, for
doesn't
God.
bode well, does it?
Not really, no. Come on, get a backbone. So much coming out. Let's start with that. I mean, we talk incessantly about Rwanda to the point where I'm bored of talking about it, right? Whether it works or it doesn't, we can sit here and we can go, he passed it by... He's just kicked the can down the road, for want of a better phrase. There's going to be a whole load of stuff falling on his head in January. As a man who I think was put there wrongly, but that's my humble opinion and I'm entitled to it, for him, the man that was supposed to provide bounce, for him, the man who was supposed to be steady and controlled after the debacle of Johnson, they told me, 7 out of 10 Brits don't like him, right? And worse for me, just 9% of this country trust politicians. I don't think anybody's going to turn out the next election, is right?
No, it's really not good news. It's a couple of things, though. He hasn't quite reached the depths of Liz Truss after her mini-budget. She was on the -70 kind of mark in the polling, so he's escaped that one, but he is around the Boris Johnson when he started to really drop in his poll ratings, which is just definitely not what the Prime Minister is going to want to hear at the moment. We need to remember also that this recent argument with Rwanda hasn't actually fed into this poll data.
Wow. Could be worse then.
Exactly.
Could be
so
Truss
it
like
looks
the
like it
figures.
might actually just get worse from here in terms of his popularity amongst the public.
Do you think it could have increased as a result of what happened this week? I thought it was really interesting. The Labour line early on in the week was very much, this bill is going to pass, this bill is going to pass. And my theory being there that Keir Starmer went, if the public even smell a hint of the fact that this might not go through, he's going to look like a hero. So we really have to set it up as if he's going to get it through, it's no big deal, he's got a majority. Do you think the public could have actually fallen for that and felt like, oh, well, maybe he is somebody we should see favourably because he did get this thing through?
Well, damage control is a really popular tactic amongst politicians. Sure. They always set the bar really low just in the hope that if they just top it, the public will all go, oh, well done, amazing, exactly. Brilliant. I think this time, though, the public do see through it. It's happened so many times.
Can I say, this is a really interesting point, because can I say something that, and I'm not a great philosophiser, but I do think whether it's the Labour Party, what was the other ones called?
Liberal Democrats.
Yeah, or the Tory Party. I think the British public, and I think if you get a poll that says 9% of us trust politicians, I think that all politicians of all parties need to start worrying and stop taking the British people for granted, because people have had enough. And whether they're subjects that we feel uncomfortable about, whether it's the NHS, whether it's immigration, whether it's foreign aid, whether it's a war or whatever, I think the British people for too long, I think politicians have thought we can just... In the last election, and this is absolutely true, we know all about Brexit, but one of the things that the Labour Party learned, and Stamer's admitted this, was they always thought everybody north of Watford Gab will vote for us. That's just going to happen. That's the way it is. I think politicians need to stop taking the British people for granted. I really do.
Definitely, and you make a really good point. This isn't just something that relates to the current government. Obviously, they take most of the hit of it at the moment because they're the ones making the big decisions. But that's not to say that people have massive trust in Keir Starmer and the Labour Party and the SNP and the Liberal Democrats.
I mean, look at the SNP.
Well, exactly.
Look what's happened there.
Good.
If I was I'd paid my £5 to join her party, I'd be really hacked off if I was a Scottish National supporter. I really would. I'd feel cheated, as many Tories do, as many people on the left of the Labour Party do. So I just think the politicians in their entirety need to go. We need to win back the trust, but I'm not sure they can.
Definitely, and a big criticism that Keir Starmer faces really regularly is that he policy flip-flops, and what I mean by that is he says he'll do one thing by X date and then he completely U-turns to do something else, and all of these things really feed into public opinion. And in this close to the general election, people want decisive action, they want definite answers, and they want to know that if a politician says they'll do something, they're definitely going to see it happen.
And we're not going to see a single, when it comes to the general election, we're not going to see a single leader leading a party that has led in previous elections. Mark Drakeford has obviously resigned. We've got a new leader of the
It's a sad day, isn't it?
Well, yeah, quite. Can you talk to us a little bit about Mark Drakeford's resignation?
Sure. So Mark Drakeford actually always said he would stand down after 5 years.
Sure.
He said when he took office, he said, you know, I've only got 5 years. After 5 years, I will stand down and someone else will take over from me. So it's not a huge surprise that he did step down. What is interesting, though, is that his popularity ratings, just like Rishi Sunak's, actually recently saw a massive plummet. And that was all to do with these 20-mile-per-hour zones.
You can walk out of this studio quicker than 20 miles an hour. Can I tell you what I think, right? I think he, right, whether he said 5 years or not, I think this is part of a Stamer as well. I don't think Labour head control, head office like Drakeford. I think he's too left-wing for them, and the opinion that they're trying to give the British people. I think that's come from Stamer.
He was popular for the majority of his time as Welsh First Minister. It's only recently that we've seen those polls really go down. There was a bit of a dip during the COVID pandemic because he was a big fan of very, very strong, forceful lockdowns, and people often said that it was a bit draconian, his approach to that.
Yeah.
So he's been a bit up and down since that period, but recently these 20-mile-per-hour zones, which he has said need to be across more roads in Wales, have actually seen his opinion polls plummet. But Jeremy, obviously, he did say that he would only be there for 5 years, so we can't listen to that too much.
Yeah.
Well, all right, I'll give you that.